Not one will know of the war. Not one will care at last when it is done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone.
These lines, read so courteously to you by Mr. Handy, come from a poem called There Will Come Soft Rains. Written by Sarah Teasdale in 1920, the poem was considered shocking at the time of its publication, as the idea of mankind destroying itself through war had yet to really enter public consciousness. This was, after all, 25 years before nuclear weapons were even invented. It lived on though and struck a chord with legendary science fiction author Ray Bradbury, who used the poem in his 1950 short story of the same name. The narrative may sound familiar to some hardcore Fallout fans. A house controlled by artificial intelligence dutifully serves its masters who, we come to find out, have been dead for decades, victims of a nameless nuclear war. This mirrors a house that players come across in Georgetown in Fallout 3, where Mr. Handy goes about his day of being the ultimate robot helper, even though the home's residents most likely died hundreds of years earlier, and is reading poetry to children who are now long gone.
There will come soft rains and the smell of the ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound.
Anyone familiar with the Fallout series knows that many locations in the game are modeled after real landmarks. After all, who could miss the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, or the United States Capitol building in Fallout 3? However, you may not be familiar with a few of the less well-known Washington DC locations found in the game. For instance, the metro system is actually modeled closely after the real subway system that many DC commuters take every day. You may also not know that the game's recreation of the National Archive building also features a post-apocalyptic spin of the Rotunda for the Charters of Freedom Room, the place where the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution are all housed. Continuing the Fallout series tradition of characters based on real individuals, the life and style of Fallout New Vegas's Benny was inspired by real-life gangster and entrepreneur Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. Often called the father of modern Las Vegas, Bugsy, like Benny, ruled his men with an iron fist. In fact, Bugsy, who built an empire for himself founded on gambling and crime in the Sin City, is in many ways exactly who Benny aspires to be. He even seems to have modeled himself after Bugsy, down to the snazzy pinstripe suit. One of the more obscure references to be found in Fallout New Vegas is the cover of the skill magazine La Fantuma, which is oddly an almost exact duplicate of the cover of DC's Adventure Comics 428 from 1973. This issue marked the first appearance of the superheroine Black Orchid, known for her skills in disguise and infiltration. The fearsome Van Graff family of Fallout New Vegas draws from a few sources in actual history. The name Van Graff is thought to be a reference to Robert Van de Graaff, the inventor of the Van de Graaff generator. After its invention, the famous engineer and inventor Nikola Tesla drew up plans for a charged particle beam projector called Teleforce, which the media at the time basically took to mean electric death ray, even though that was hardly an accurate description. Given the Van Graff family's expertise in energy weapons though, this is probably where the inspiration was derived. That's not all, the family's symbol is based on the statue of Singapore's mythological creature, the Merlion. Many of you have probably visited the Ivanpah Dry Lake during your time in Fallout New Vegas, but you may not know that this is actually a real dried-up lake in the Mojave Desert. Ivanpah Dry Lake isn't the only little-known location from the American Southwest to be featured in the game though. The towns of Primm, Boulder City, and Calville Bay are all based on actual places, just to name a few. Notice how the developers chose to put a roller coaster in their Primm, just like the real Primm. This goes to show that wherever you find yourself in the wasteland, the real world is probably not too far behind. Do you know any other Fallout historical or literary references we didn't cover here? Share them in the comment section below and we might include it in a future episode. If you like this show, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. My name is Lemino and I have a channel called Top 10 Memes where I make factual videos about all kinds of things. If you click here, you can check out one of my more recent videos I made about the Legend of Zelda.